Hello everyone, this is Dr. Shijun Wang. In today's video, I am going to continue talking about Chopin Scherzo No. 2, Opus 31. In the previous video, I've received really an overwhelmingly warm reaction from my YouTube audiences, and many of you have asked me excellent questions regarding to this piece and regarding to this new format, which I think is more focused on the practicing part instead of just a pure lecture on pointing out the interesting aspects in the music. So I guess this is more practical, and I'm willing to continue this route in helping my audiences practicing the piece more. There was one question that asked by one of my viewers. It's about how come in the scherzos the counting of 4 is so important, but in, let's say, for instance, Chopin nocturnes or any very lyrical pieces, then the rubatos were much more required. It's an excellent point. It's an excellent question. I would say because every music is quite different, even though it's the same written by Chopin. Some music is really more focused on the part of the lyrical lines, and some music is really more focused on the rhythmic structural. So I think the beginning of this is nothing lyrical about, right? It's heroic, it's confident, and it's humor, right? So I guess in this part, in the beginning, from measure 1 up onto probably measure 48, 49, it's more of the rhythmic part. But here, for instance, I use a lot of rubato when I play. And actually, in a matter of fact, I want to start this video with just commenting on how to make this right hand singing melody more beautiful. Okay, first of all, the last time I've seen a slur this long, you see, my edition is the Polish national edition. At least from measure 65, for the first almost 20 measures, there is no break of the legato sign of the slur. It's not very practical. It's also not realistic. In Mozart's time, the slur rarely is longer than a measure. And actually, within one measure, a string player can use one bow to finish the measure, and then when the slur breaks away, then you have to change a bow. So it's actually for a very practical purpose. In Chopin's music, if a violinist were to play this entire first line from measure 65 up until 81, probably we will require to have a bow that is as long as probably 10 meters long. Of course, it's not realistic, so it's more of a mental, it's imaginary long slur. And how did he create such a non-stop singing melody? I think he used this one technique. He wanted the previous phrase to end, so he has the last note of the previous phrase, but that last note of the previous phrase also has a function to become the first note of the next phrase. You see how he connects, almost like there's the knot of the 2 lines, but he somehow erased that, so it becomes one string. And he used the repeated notes that he left the hint to us whenever he wrote the repeated notes. For instance, here, it could be that's the end of the previous, but then he connect that end to something new, okay? And in measure 71, he started this 4 B flats, and then next stop is the 4 C natural. So we have finally the repeated notes that pushes us to the climax is this. So I really, in my opinion, the first real break appeared in measure 96. Yeah, after the B B B B C C C C and then the F, this repeated F. Now that first phrase has come to an end. It's about 30 something measures. Okay. And next one we have octaves now. So we can choose to either emphasize the top or to emphasize the middle. Either way, and since this theme comes back 3 times, I guess maybe the second time, maybe the third time, we can do something different, okay? The middle section starts in measure 265. There is no indication of a slower tempo, but everyone plays in a slower tempo in this part. And for good reasons, right? There is no more this kind of perpetual motion left hand, but then instead, boom, this is more like a chorale or like a string quartet texture. So first of all, this 4 measure phrasing doesn't change. Still 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 4. That's how in Chopin's head he was grouping the phrases. And also, Chopin did put sostenuto on the top line, and then sottovoce in the middle. So I guess that's indicating different voices. So he's super aware of this polyphony that is going on. So the middle, for the first time, is less. The top, sostenuto, of course, doesn't mean louder, but it means longer. But it's enough information for us to understand Chopin wanted that to be heard. And back to what I said at the beginning, there is no indication of slower tempo. So what do we do to prevent us from slowing too much, slowing down too much? We have to count 1 2 3. You see, we said the conductor wouldn't conduct 1 2 3 at the beginning, but here if we don't think of the 1 2 3, the tempo will start to drag, right? If we do 1 2 3 4, right? But if we do 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 1, it will help us to mentally push the music forward. Okay, and here that left hand is really difficult because it's, of course, it's the string quartet now breaks away from like a top violin, first violin, and then the other 3, the second violin, viola and cello, they're together underneath playing the harmony, but we still have a secondary melody in the second violin that we want to emphasize. So here, my solution is that when I'm doing this my left hand center is more towards the thumb, the elbow will lift a little bit, high enough to let the thumb feel the weight of the arm. And almost to lift these two, like in a puppet show, right? The puppet, the arms is lifted so that it's never too heavy wherever the puppet legs or arms touches. So that's almost the same feeling for the lower two notes. And of course, as a teacher, how far does this go? I don't know, because each student's the ratio of their hand with their arm, forearm is different. Some has longer arms than legs, some has longer legs than arms, and even I've seen some people has longer index fingers and shorter ring finger, and that's the opposite for me. I have longer ring finger. So the ratio for everyone is different. You have to find your own best angle, okay? But this is the key. And here, we no longer have the normal prints of these. So very often I see students, when it's here, they thought, oh, it's free. Then I stopped counting. So they ended up playing like whatever, fast or slow. No, I think that smaller print is indication of the tone, not the rhythm. So we still need to 1, 2, 3. Yeah. And second time, clearly Chopin put a diminuendo, a hairpin on the C sharp, that one note. So it's a waste of ink, right? Because first of all, how do we change one note after we play? We cannot. And even if he didn't write anything, the natural ability of this instrument will create a diminuendo, right, while you're holding it. But of course, Chopin knows what he was doing. He wanted to emphasize that. So the first time, second time, please let us hear that measure of silence, okay? 1, 2. It creates such a special moment for all of your audience to anticipate, to longing for what's coming. Yeah? Again, the left hand. And then again, right hand count. And here, I see how beautiful this string quartet texture is. Yeah, and a lot of people just wanted to start a brand new chapter here, and they totally breaks that away from the previous. So a lot of people do this. And that first measure becomes probably tripled in the volume. So 1, 2, 3, 1. We can delay a little bit, but continue counting. And here we have two melodies. Yeah, and then this needs to be clear and soft. Okay, and within the right hand or the first violin, it is a question and answer. Middle voice, left hand. this part is such masterful writing for Chopin. Every voice is so delicate and so well controlled, well balanced. It should be really in the theory class of each music majors, how to write contrapunto, how to write a string quartet in the style of Romantic period. Okay, and I will say I have a little bit time left. I will say a little bit about this running part, and then for next video I'm going to focus only on this running part. First of all, it's not suddenly fast, right? Chopin just put leggero, and leggero has nothing to do with tempo. Leggero is the feeling of light and liveliness. And again, the left hand bass has a separate melody. And if you play the left hand exactly as Chopin's indication, long, long staccato, short, 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 then you will more or less feel this almost dance-like feeling. It's very light. It's not heavy. It's probably it gets heavier when it gets to. Yeah, yes, this is heavy, but before. Yeah, it's nothing heavy. And one last thing about the right hand. First, I'm not going to focus on how to practice this accurately. I'm going to do that next week, I promise. And here, I've heard so many people with great fingers, and they play this evenly. And it's so tasteless. It's almost like, and this part really has a lot in the similar style writing with this Schubert impromptu, Opus 90, number 2. If you start, I think Mr. Lowenthal calls this the typewriter style, meaning non-musical, but whenever you have a turn, you're almost like you're feeling the same sentiment or the same speed when you're driving the car, and then of course when you're turning left or turning right, the speed reduces a little bit, right? So in music, whenever the scales or arpeggios has experienced this turning of direction, they should feel the same, right? It's not, but right. So of course it's harder because you might have more chance to miss notes. Yeah. So don't. Yeah, like the stereotype of Hanon and turning trained fingers just move before your head. But here we have to really control this running notes with a very musical rhythm. Okay, that's it for today. And like last week, I would like my YouTube viewers to send me your playing clips, maybe one section, maybe even just 20 seconds, 30 seconds of one part for any question regarding to rhythm, regarding to melody, regarding to any technical problems. I would encourage you to send me an email that I will put below this video, and we will probably have one more session after I finish teaching this whole piece, and then I will answer your questions and show other people how to resolve the questions. Okay? Thank you for watching, and if you haven't subscribed my channel, please subscribe and turn on the little bell so that when I upload for a new video, you will be the first to be notified.